Do you ever go back on?
Yeah, I've had stints where I go back on
And you don't control it?
it's tough. It goes downhill
No
pretty
kidding.
quick.
So
You think it's going to be
you
easy.
think you're controlling it.
And then you're damn.
Boy,
Yeah, you're doing
that's tough.
go-kart and racing with hookers and stuff. It gets bad.
Just not to do it, right?
Right. So then in the end, you're like, I have to not do it.
I don't drink or smoke.
You never have.
No, I never have. I had a great brother who taught me a lesson. Don't drink. And he said, don't smoke. He smoked and he drank. And he was a great guy. He was a very handsome guy.
Is he older? He was older?
Quite a bit older, yeah. And he had a problem with alcohol and smoke a lot. But, I tell people, no drugs, no drinking, no cigarettes.
Yeah.
I tell that to my kids all the time. I'd say, no drugs, no drinking, no smoke. And
it was tough.
He'd always tell me, he'd say, never. So he was, really old enough that you would look up to somebody. And I'd look up to him anyway.
Did you admire him?
Yeah, I admired so much about him. He had so much going. He had the look. What
was his name?
Unbelievable personality, like an incredible personality.
What was his name, Donald?
His name was Fred Trump. And he had a problem with alcohol. He got addicted to it because they say alcohol is tougher than drugs to get off of. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I'm in recovery, actually. I've been in recovery, so like most of the last 10 years.
From alcohol?
From drugs and alcohol.
So which is worse?
For me, drugs is the problem, but if I have a drink, then it's tougher for me to prevent myself from getting it.
It sets off a chain.
Yeah.
But which is harder to quit? I've heard alcohol is harder to quit.
So Trump asks, which is harder to quit, drugs or alcohol? Well, here's the thing. Addiction's sort of like a snowflake. No two journeys are quite the same. I've seen patients that drink 26 ounces of liquor a day, every day for 30 years, that have never even thought about quitting. They figured it was hopeless and super dangerous. And yeah, it's definitely super dangerous. But with the right medical and recovery support, many have successfully quit and stayed sober for years without a single relapse. Now, on the flip side, I've known many who have struggled with crack, cannabis, or even meth addictions. These are maybe the easier battles if we follow Trump's thinking on that, right? Yet some of those folks have been in and out of treatment centers 20 times. And they still struggle just to even get a week of sobriety in that period of time. So which is harder? It might be a little bit like asking, is it tougher to fight an orangutan or a lion? I think that simply depends on which one is about to eat you at any particular moment. Look, addiction's personal, and what's tough for one might be a walk in the park for someone else. Make no mistake about it, it's a fight for your life, and it's a fight worth fighting.
So you have a problem with that then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's been in my family. My family, it's like, yeah.
Can you stay away from it?
Yeah, I've done a good job. I mean,
so how long have you been off?
I go to recovery meetings. I've been off most recently a little over 2 years.
Do you ever go back on?
Yeah, I've had stints where I go back on
and you don't control it?
It's tough. It goes downhill pretty quick.
No kidding. So you
think it's going to be easy.
You think you're controlling it.
And then you're damn.
Boy,
Yeah, you're doing
tough.
go-kart and racing with hookers and stuff. It gets bad.
It's just not to do it, right?
Right. So then in the end, you're like, I have to not do it.
So Trump hits Theo with, so you've got a problem? I got to say, I'm sort of like squirming as he said that. I felt like, really defensive. But Theo's taken in like a champ. He says, yeah, maybe, yeah, I got a problem. Yes, I do. And then drops this kind of kernel of knowledge about how addiction sort of just sneaks up on you. It reminds me of that famous Mike Tyson line, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And that's so very true about addiction. So what's the lesson on this one? Well, maybe when you find yourself suddenly go-kart racing with hookers, maybe you just got punched in the proverbial face and it's time to regroup and make a new plan. And that's okay because it's kind of part of the journey.
Did you see, like, with your brother, could you see it or anything? Like,
yeah.
Man.
I was amazed because he had so much going, he had everything going. I think it happened in college at a fraternity maybe, or I don't know, somewhere along the line it happened. And all of a sudden, this is not unique. This is a very common story, unfortunately, but and then the family would see it and start to notice it. And It didn't get better. It didn't get better. I was amazed. He lived for so long in bad conditions, in terms of, I was amazed that his body could hold out. It held out, and it had bad moments. But his body was unbelievably strong that it could withstand this.
Yeah, it's a body. Your body's just so resilient.
Yeah.
Do you remember the last time that you saw him or spent with him?
I do, and
I'm sorry to ask you about it. Is it all right?
Yeah, no. It's the reason it's good talking about it is it might help other people. If it helps one other person, it's worth the conversation.
So look, here's Trump getting all real about his brother's battle with addiction. And let's be honest, vulnerability isn't exactly on his brand. So you know what? Props to him for opening up, because addiction doesn't give a crap if you're a billionaire or you're broke. It's an equal opportunity wrecking ball. What Trump's doing here is actually pretty big. He's putting addiction on the map. If a guy like him with all the cash and power in the world can admit his family isn't immune to this, it really drives the point home that addiction doesn't discriminate. And for those of us who've been in this fight, we know how real it gets. I mean, look, I'm not trying to drag myself into this story, but 99% of my family still doesn't talk to me. And I've been in recovery for 10 years. So, not to get dark, but, that's just how it is for a lot of us. So seeing Trump share this, it's a big deal. He's breaking down stigma, and that's what we're all about around here. So it's a win in my books.
So I never had a cigarette, and I've never had a glass of alcohol. And my brother was incredible. He would tell me, because he knew he had a problem, and he'd say, don't ever drink, don't ever smoke. He'd always add smoking, because he did smoke a lot, which is, not very healthy. But he'd say, don't ever drink, don't ever drink. He'd tell me every time. I said, don't ever drink, because he knew he had this addiction. And I never had a glass of alcohol. Never, ever did I have a glass of alcohol because of him. And I would say that if I did drink, I could, conceivably be the type of personality that would have, like you, that would have a problem. But I never had. And the only thing I say to people is, if too late for the people that you're talking about, but if you don't drink, you don't miss it. I mean, I don't even think about alcohol or
right. It's not a part of your world.
I don't think about cigarettes. I don't think about any of that. If you don't take drugs or if you don't have alcohol, it's real easy not to drink it.
So Trump's over here saying he's never drank or had a cigarette, and I'm thinking, all right, good for you. But what about the rest of us? I mean, 99% of us that are watching this can't say the same thing. And sure, if you've never touched the stuff, well, hey, that's a win. But let's get real. This advice might sound a little bit like Nancy Reagan's Just Say No to Drugs campaign.
Say yes to your life. And when it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
Here's the thing. Avoidance is cool if you can pull it off. But if you've never had a drink or done drugs, you're sitting pretty. Props to you. Look, I didn't touch drugs until I was 26 years old. But once I started slamming meth, it didn't take very long for me to get to my go-kart racing hooker stage. And it went downhill from there. If you can dodge the madness, you're golden. Less wreckage to deal with later. But if you've already taken that ride, well, welcome to the club. And just because you didn't just say no and that didn't work for you, that doesn't mean you're stuck in the mud. There's always a U-turn waiting for you. And trust me, it's worth making it. So yeah, Trump's advice, it's tight for those who never got in the race. But for the rest of us, the real mantra is don't tap out. There's always a way out of the chaos. So don't give up. If you're still breathing, then there's always hope. Never be afraid to reach out for help. Until next time, be safe and take care.